Today I wanted to show a little bit of my process of creating this bench that you can see on your screen right now. The idea is not that we're going to do a how-to or some sort of tutorial. I just want to show the process that I've been using to create paintings like that, because I think that helped me a lot to understand about colors and understand a little bit about shape. So first thing I do, normally I will go to Pinterest and I have already a folder with all of the references that I want to use. As you can see here on my screen, normally I open the reference and then I share the screen so I can see the reference and also see my Canva. Then I start with my sketches, and here I try to keep things very light. I try not to add too much details because I don't want to be distracted by the details that I put in the lines. So I just want to have some sort of guideline. So I'm like right now trying to define the shapes that are more important for me to focus on. So for example, the line between the where the water starts and where her face is. As you can see here, I'm going to use the cutting tool to adjust a little bit the distance between the eyes that I saw it was a little bit too close to each other. But in general, the sketch phase is really fast. I try not to put too much effort on it so I can save my energy to do the painting itself. As you can see, I try to define where the water is touching her face, so I know where I have to make a transition between the colors. And I always flip the canvas so I can look at the mistakes that I've made and make sure that everything looks right in the right proportions and nothing is really distorted. I'm gonna start adding some of the flat colors. I normally use the lasso tool just to cut out the shape of where her face is, her skin is, and then I'm just gonna select a skin color for being the main color in the back, and then I try not to make it too saturated, because then on top of that I'm going to start adding some of the colors that I can see in the reference. And again, this part I keep it very loose. I am already thinking about light and dark and some of the shadows and the colors that I can see in the shadows, but I am not trying to define properly any shapes yet. I just want to have a general idea of the overall color of the painting, because the way I normally work for this kind of paintings is that we're going to merge these layers and we're going to use the colors in the painting to start rendering. So right now I just want to have a general idea of the main colors of each specific area of the painting, and just making sure that it looks close enough to the reference. One of the reasons why I do it like that is because it makes it easier for me to understand color and the relationship between the colors that I already put in the Canva with the colors that I'm adding after that, and making sure that what I can see is also what I'm putting in the Canva without having to select the color by adding the reference in my Canva and just picking up the colors. I want to be able to actually understand where you have more warm colors, where you have more cold colors, where it's blues, where it's, color is a tricky situation where sometimes it feels like you're looking to a cold color, but it's just a less saturated version of the color you already had in the Canva. So it's very nice to put everything as fast as you can in the Canva so you can see how the relationship between the colors work, and then you're not guessing, because sometimes something could look blue but is actually not even, and I'm going to show a little bit more about this later on in this process. want to spend a lot of time working on this area because it's the main focus, so I'm going to put most of my effort now and then. But I always work on different places at the same time, because I feel like there I can actually have like more of a complete idea of what it's going to look, and I don't over focus on one thing, and then everything, it takes like so much more to just get everything to the same level. And now I'm going to just, one of the little things that I use for, you know, the digital advantage is to multiply the line art. I should have done this at the beginning, I forgot, because I normally use color to do the line, and then when they merge together they look very nice. And but this, I don't keep my sketch at the end most of the time, you know, I make it very light. So then the reason why I do that is because this way the line doesn't confuse me on how much detail I actually added already, because if I keep the full line, as you saw how it was before, like this, it kind of looks like there is a lot of details decided already on the, like, where the hard edges would be. But I'm going to be painting with my sketch there, so that's distractive and is going to stop me from putting more detail on the painting itself. So I do like that, so I just have an idea, general idea of where things should go, but it doesn't distract me from actually putting what I need in there. Now here you're just gonna see me starting the rendering process. This is the most time consuming. It's basically where most of the painting actually happens. I think it's funny because I think the first stages of the painting, where you're finding colors and the sketch and everything, is actually the most important part, but it's so much faster than all the rest. Like the actually bulk of work is in rendering. So I like going through the colors that I already have in the canvas. So I'm just using the picking tool to pick the colors, and then I open the color wheel and I can shift a little bit to add the type of effect that I want. So for example, for shadows, many times what I'm doing is either picking a slight darker color to the color I have in a specific area, or I'm shifting the color either closer towards a colder color, or either just changing the saturation already just do the job of making it look more like a shadow. If you look to the shadow in her nose, you can see that it looks a little bit bluer than the rest of the colors in her face, and that's not actually because I added any blue there. I just was using the color that I had in her skin already, and I just shift a little bit the wheel to the side where the blues start, and then even though I didn't leave the browns, it still makes it look like it's blue, because it's like you're adding less warm color, and then the relationship between the two colors just gives this effect, which I think is so cool. Yes, and then from there I'm just going to be adding more and more, defining the shapes and hard edges and smooth edges. Okay, now we are turning to a screen recorder. I wish I could say that this is because I think it's better for you to see the true colors that I'm working with, and you can see the painting a little bit closer, but it's actually because my cats just kept throwing my tripod on the floor, and then I just lost my mind with it. But yeah, it works. It's actually better, to be fair, to see the details. Now I'm doing the more like small detail parts of the painting, so it makes more sense for you to be able to look at the screen like that. And Now you're gonna see me struggling a little bit with the eyes. I actually wanted to change a little bit from what it is in the reference. I wanted to give it a little bit more details, even though it's not always going to be very visible. And I was also struggling with the direction of her eyes because I wanted her to be looking a little bit forward than the reference actually is. So I spent a lot of time kind of trying to figure out the actual direction, and then where the highlights should go and enhance this feeling of her looking more towards you than towards the camera than towards the other way. So yeah, I'm just gonna let you enjoy the speed painting now. I'm basically going to be just going back and forth and adding details. You're gonna see that when I'm adding some new details or something that I'm not very sure if I want to keep yet, I normally open a new layer on top of everything and create the details or whatever it is that I'm testing. And once I'm happy with it, I just merge, because I prefer to work with one layer, 2 layers max. I don't want to work with way too many layers because it makes a little bit confusing for me to find where things are after. And also this makes me have a little bit of a feeling that I'm working more similar to what I would be doing if it was traditional, and it makes me embrace little mistakes and actually learn how to work around things going wrong. And if I want to change something down the line, I know I'm gonna have to do the changes manually. I can just go to a layer and do the changes there. So this makes me more mindful about everything that I'm putting on the screen and on the painting, and that makes me a little bit more decisive as well. So yes, enjoy the rest of the painting, and I'm gonna come back when everything is done to show the final results and give a little bit of my thoughts about this whole process. Okay, so this is the final artwork. I gotta say I'm very proud of this one. I think it's one of my best so far. It was so much fun to create this, and I'm gonna show you a little bit of the details here. Um, I thought for me the main challenge would be to create the reflections in the water, but at the end it was about creating these lights in her face, this here on the top that you can see, and try to make it look like it was reflection from the water to her face, not like random light spots in her eyes. I have to admit I don't think I 100% succeed in this one, but I've learned a lot about how to work shapes and how to work light in the Canva with this thing. I think putting myself through the challenge of not using any of the effects of the digital painting was really good for me to learn about how to move around the paint and fix my mistakes, and also work with negative space to make sure that things, flow, the painting flows the way I kind of wanted, because my main focus was to have this area here in the eyes to be the main part of the painting, where you would look at the painting and immediately go there, and I think that worked. I think the difference between the sharpness in one eye and the blurriness in the other eye that I was able to achieve by smudging the painting around really makes that one eye pop. I am not sure if it gives, the depth effect that I wanted and the depth effect that I was seeing in the reference, but I still think it looks very interesting, and I love the way that this actually feels like it was made, with traditional paints. So yes, I am very happy about this one, and I hope you enjoyed this painting. I hope you learned something with me, and I see you in the next study. Bye.